Hello, everyone. Welcome to another session of Product Perspective Talks. I'm your host. I'm Sujeet Pathak, Senior Product Manager at Amoeboids. As you all know, Amoeboids is a Atlassian's Platinum Marketplace partner. And today, joining us, Ostap Zaishlyi. He's a Senior Product Manager at Reliex. Reliex is like Amoeboids and Atlassian's Platinum Marketplace partner. So, hi, Ostap. Thank you so much for joining us today and welcome to the session.
Hi Sujit. Hi everyone. Hope it will be a productive talk and everyone will know something new after this talk.
Great, great. So, great to have you there. So, as you all know, we generally talk about product management related stuff in these sessions. So, we'll discuss Ostap's journey into product management and then we'll, go deeper into some of the facets of product management in general. So to begin with, Ostap, why don't you tell us about your journey so far? How did you end up into product management?
Sure. So actually, I never expected to end up here, but I think it's true for most of the product managers. It's kind of random for most of the product managers that I know. So I started doing like a side job when I was at the university as a support at a telecommunication company. But very soon I got promoted to a project manager positions, junior project manager, and then just project manager for the support teams. And at that time, I thought that, okay, like I like project management, so I like building teams, delivering something with them. But after that, like we had like internal projects. And at that time, I didn't realize actually that those internal projects, they actually were like a product because they required me not only just to like build something, but they required me to then support it. So I had like internal users that were my customers that were using the features of this internal product that we actually built. So actually, it was like my first job in product management, even though I didn't realize it at that time. But then I left the company and I was kind of looking something in project management. But then I was talking with my wife, which was who was my girlfriend at the time, and she just mentioned me about product management because actually I was not aware that it was a thing. So and she when she described it to me, I said like, oh yeah, it's kind of what I was doing for the last half a year, and I got really excited about that. But I understood that it would be kind of difficult for me to get into product management right away. So I was starting looking for a job which was working like for a company that had its own products. So I could start working in the company, then grow myself into a product management position. So that's how I started here at Reliex. I started as the customer success manager. So, which I thought was great because I had a lot of communication with the customer and I had to learn the product, how the product works, how to deliver value with it. And after some time, like a little under a year, there was the possibility to transition to be a product manager of our main app, Activity Timeline. So basically, after a discussion with our leadership, I was confirmed, and after that, I became a product manager of our main app, and I'm managing it for little over 5 years. And since then, we have grown significantly. I think like almost 20x in customers, in revenue, and so on. So far, so good.
Great to know that. I think anyone who is there in the product management space for last 5 or 10 years, I think this is the similar story for everyone because the product management that we see today, which is in too much of a fashion, was not that popular at that time. But we were doing product management, but most of us were not aware of that this is called
Yes.
product management, right? And
Yes.
I also see that today because this is in the fashion now because of the startup culture, growing startup culture, and all those product-based companies out there. But many young graduates today pressurize themselves too much to get into product management. I think that's not really needed. You can get into software development in general, once you are in any role, whether you are a developer or a QA or customer success, as you in your case, even in my case, though I'm into product management for like 6 7 years now, but I started into operations management first, and then I gradually shifted to product management based on my experiences. So this is also a good path to follow, because once you have done certain work, like in your case, you are in customer success, so you are quite close to your customers, talking to your customers, and that really helps when you go into product management, because ultimately your users, your customers are the ones that we are building products for. So that really
Yes.
helps. So would you like to, if you look back into your journey so far, uh, would you feel that there were certain things that you could have done differently so that you could have been more, uh, you know, uh, successful as a product manager, or you are okay with whatever you have done so far?
I'm quite satisfied, but of course there are things that could be done differently to improve. So I think it depends a lot, like from what side you're coming from. So basically, if you're coming from the business side, obviously, like the technical part will be your weaker part. So you need to work on that. And the same goes for engineers and QAs, for example. They understand the technicalities better, but it's hard for them to get like the customer needs, how to satisfy them, and so on. So it's really like my recommendations that I give to anyone that is trying to get into product management. You need to evaluate like what are your weak spots in your basically in your profile, and try to eliminate them. So I did this, but I did this later in my career, where when I started focusing like more on the technical side, because at first it was just purely like, okay, what customer wants, this is what we're gonna build it. But I disregarded like what are the technical limitations of this, right? So basically, you need to be basically you need to have your strong sides, but also you need to understand what are your weak sides. And for example, even if you know that, okay, you're not that technical, you need to be able like to communicate with your engineers, like with head of development, and to say them, okay, I think this will be the best, but what do you think from the technical side, right? So you need to be able to consult with other people that could be stronger than you. That's nothing wrong about that. Product manager is not the person that knows everything. The product manager is the person that should know what he or she knows, and then consult other people for something that he or she does not know.
Yeah, that's yeah, perfect summary of what you explained. Even I have gone through this problem. Like, yeah, even I had transitioned from business side to product management, and the technical side always been challenging for me. Even now, after having spent 6 7 years, so yeah, that's a perfect thing to do. So in general, people come from sometimes technical background or sometimes from product business side to product management. So you need to hold your strong side, but at the same time work on your weaker side. So, being a product manager, what are the biggest challenges you face in your role on day-to-day basis?
Um, so one of the biggest challenges, especially early on in my career, was like understanding of that customers do not have solutions; they only have problems, right? And it's silly to expect to ask customer like, how do you want to solve this? And because I think it's quite easy to say, okay, you're talking to a customer, and customer says, oh, I would like this to work like this, or I want, for example, this feature to do this and that. But actually, it's a really like dangerous path to, because customers may think that they know how to do it, like what will work for them. But if you fell for this, you risk building something that even this particular customer will not use, because they thought that it's gonna work for them, but eventually it does not. And early on in my career, I had like a few cases where I was talking to a larger customer. So of course you put more value to what they give as a feedback, right? And you try to build something that they desire. But actually, a much better approach, more robust approach, is like to understand the core problem, like why do they need this? So what is the need that they have, and to compare it with other customers, and most probably like if a lot of customers are asking, and you can see like the same bottom line, you can build a feature that will cover not only specific cases, but a more general problem, right? So it's very important to understand that customers, they never have solutions. They only have problems that you need to address, right? You, with your team, with your designers, with your engineers, QAs, and so on, you can find a solution, but you don't need to ask for this. You only need to ask what pains do you have, and we can come up with a solution.
I think I couldn't agree more on this. It happens on day-to-day basis, even for us as well at Amoeboids. Even in my previous experiences, I have felt this. Like even sometimes those bigger customers who are giving you some good chunk of revenue, they also know that they are influencing your revenue cycle, and they try to sometimes pressurize you for certain features, and that is really a tricky situation to handle because you don't want to you know upset your bigger customer. At the same time, you don't want to fall into that trap of building something specific for a single customer. As you said, sometimes even that customer might not use that feature if we don't really give it a thought about all other use cases around that thing. So it's really a tight rope or try to walk on the rope sometimes. But yeah, that's a great example. Uh, you know, any examples of failures from your side that you would like to share, like any product that you launched which didn't really work in the market, or even a particular feature that you really hope will work with majority of your users within a product, and actually that didn't happen.
Uh, yes, I think a good example. So it's not completely a failure because we were able like to fix this. So basically, it's an example of like what it's again. If we talk about the previous, so we got feedback from very power users, so people that are using the app like to that use most of the features that are very tech savvy, right? So
Mhm.
and they were giving us feedback, and we tried to build a feature basically for timesheet reports, and we tried to build it like as general as possible to give the most feature right away to all the customers, right? And those and when we released it, those customers that were requesting this, since they are very tech savvy, and they understood everything, they were thrilled to see this. But then when we checked the analytics, we saw that this is like a very small percentage of the customer base that is using this, even though we know that like most of the customer need this. So, and then later we analyze it like, okay, it is great, it is very powerful, but it's also very complex. And most customers, they're not that tech advanced. And for example, and they don't need this because they need something simple, and you need to provide like this simplicity to them.
Mm.
So basically, what we did, we basically had like we have like two options, like the predefined, like a template based.
Mhm.
So where 80 to 90% of the customers use like very simple reports. That's it. Like they don't need anything more. But still, like people that need something more, they can like click two or three buttons more, and they get like what they want. So basically, and I think this is a good example for any product managers. Like you need to understand that like most of your features, they don't need to be super complex. Like the simpler, the better, because 80% to 90% of the customers, they need like just to fix a simple problem. Like only small percentage of the customer really needs something complex.
Yeah, yeah. That's again a great insight. Even I have faced this situation. So one of my mentors have, always told me that you have to be lean when you are building something new. So even if you are clear, you have a clear roadmap in your mind about how this feature or this particular product will grow down the line 6 months. But the first version should be very as lean as possible. Go to the market, see how people are using it, and based on that, you keep on building upon it. I think that's something that is something to keep in mind for everyone who is into product management. So are there any, particular frameworks or strategies that you follow while, managing such product management challenges?
Mhm. Yeah, so basically, this was also one of the challenges that I faced at the beginning. So I was searching for different frameworks and what to use, especially if you're younger and you're just into the role, so you're trying a lot of things. And especially like from where I come from, a lot of emphasis it goes on the on delivering the features rather than delivering value. And for example, if you deliver value, you can expect like the money return, right?
Right.
And after some time, I learned that like a good metric is to have like one metric. Like, and so I searched on the internet and it appears there is a framework is like North Star metric that, for example, in the app, you define what is like the most important metric that you have, because driving it will drive like the revenue and all like everything goes up if you drive it up. So I stick to it like for years already, and I think this is really the best if you're doing the commercial product, because in the end, the app should make money, right? So you need to define a metric in the app that will so when you increase it, you see a direct link to the revenue or to the paid active users and so on. So like the North, I think it's like North Star metric. So
North Star
basically,
metric, yeah.
yeah. So basically, when you try to find something that what you can increase and see the value that comes back to you and to the customer. So this is like the most important one, and I'm happy that, like after like months or maybe even a year, when we were trying different metrics, we finally like found it's finally found our magical combination where we see like for years now that driving this specific metric brings growth to the company. So this was really challenging, but at the end, when you do find it, and it becomes much easier, because like, okay, you don't need to drive like 10 different things at the same time. Like you just need to focus on one thing. And of course, like after some time, you need to do some recalibration, because it doesn't work like you did it once and so on, and for all. But like still, when you found something that works and it continues to work, you need to do like slight changes, but it still works. So this is what I really like about it.
Okay, so North Star metric is something which basically takes care of all other metrics that you need to follow. So
Yes.
any example that you can give about a particular product where this was the North Star metric we followed, and this is how it took care of all other aspects of
Yes,
the.
so our basically our main app activity timeline. So it's both for planning and time tracking. So it's quite a big app. But we found some internal metrics. So I wish not to disclose what exactly was it, but it was like the internal thing that is not counted in Jira, but like what our app does. And we found the way how to calculate this number per instance, basically. And so we averaged it like per number of users and on the instance. And we see that like, okay, instances with higher, like with bigger numbers of this particular average, they tend to convert better and they tend to stay for longer. And we notice it like, okay, how we can drive this. So this is like where the challenge begins. So, okay, now we understand that, okay, this works, but now we need to make it works, because it's not always that, okay, I understood what works, but how do I improve it? So there you have like some experiments, A/B testing. So now the challenge for product manager begins, because now you have something to work with.
Great, great. That's again a great insight. So we're talking about product management in general, but in both of our cases, we are Atlassian's marketplace partners. And while working within the Atlassian ecosystem, how different it is being a product manager for a Atlassian add-on product as compared to a standalone SaaS product, which is not basically an add-on.
Yeah, I was thinking about that a lot actually, and so what I think it is at the same time like easier, but also more difficult. So it depends how you look, because it could be easier because when customer comes to you, you'll already kind of know his or her setup, right? They are using Jira, so or other Atlassian apps, so you kind of know like what to expect from them, and also since the app is on the marketplace, so you get like the visibility, and you also get a lot of resources from Atlassian that you can utilize, right? And you, for example, we as the Platinum partners, we also have like the contact person from Atlassian that we also can discuss it with. But basically, if you're so you get how to say, like some help from the being on the marketplace, but at the same time, I think you're kind of limited, right? So you cannot target everyone everywhere. So there are some conditions that the customer needs to meet in order to use your app. So they need to have, for example, Jira first and
Right.
foremost. If you're using it for Jira or Confluence, if it's a Confluence app, and it already, like segments your customer into some smaller percentage of the whole market. But if you're doing it like as a standalone product, I think the competition could be quite fierce, because just in total, like there are much more apps that target everyone. So you have the bigger pie, but you also have the larger competition. So I think you can succeed in both, obviously, and you can fail in both. So basically, it's one is not easier than the other. So it just depends. It really changes what strategy you need to pursue if you are doing a marketplace app versus a standalone app. But how you succeed, it doesn't depend on the where your app is located or marketed.
Right. So basically, working in an Atlassian ecosystem or any ecosystem for that matter, if you're working on an add-on kind of a product, at the one side you have a set boundaries which you cannot go beyond. At the same time, you have in some other way a set chunk of market which you already know, and you can market it better, or you can understand the
Yes.
users in much better way because you have those limited boundaries to play with it. So yeah, interesting perspective. I can see there are 3, 4 major apps that you have in the marketplace right now, Atlassian Marketplace: Activity Timeline, Email Digest, and I think Find Duplicates. So
Yes.
would you like to share any success story out of these 3 products where your customer, a particular customer, you might not name them, but has the use of your product has completely transformed the workflows, or in general whatever they were doing earlier?
Yeah, of course, we can. So basically, one of the cool, I actually have quite a few. So just thinking about two of them. So but maybe just briefly about two. So one of that is about one platform for payments, and basically they started with us. We started communicating with them like years ago when they were like very small company, and like over the years, so they are the customer for over 4 years already. We see how they steadily grow, and they say that like our app was one of the few apps that stayed with them during the whole this process, and like we are in constant communication. So sometimes they ask for our advice, how, because they're growing. So they were like in dozens, and now they are like over 2,000 companies. So it was like a very significant growth. So obviously, like the processes change, so you need to adapt. And of course, our app can support teams from like 10 users to thousands of users. But to do it, we need like to change the configuration, right? Because what works for people like 20 people with permissions and what people can see, to let's say like thousands with like different departments and like different level of management. And they stayed with us throughout this process. And like even from that team, we have like a few people that went and started working in another company, and they said, oh, we were working like with your customer, and they brought us to another company. And we were like, wow, like so we have like super big growth in one side, and even then they like branched out to another company. So it was really funny. But we have quite a few customers that are growing with us like that, but they are like the biggest ones. So they had like, I think in 20s, so they had a 20 something, and then they started raising investment. So they started growing the team, and I know that their app is quite successful. And now they're like over 2,000 in paid licenses. So it's really cool to see, and like especially if you can talk with them and see people that started with 20 people, so they were like one of the first employees, and now they are like in the director's position. So it's
Mhm.
really cool to see. And another one is basically a also, it's a story of growth where our app was acquired just by one department. They barely got money to pay for the app because, as you know, you pay for every user inside,
Okay.
like for Jira user or
Mhm.
Confluence user, even though like only a small fraction of the users can use the app, right?
Okay.
But at the end, they started like promoting, and other users started asking, "Oh, what is this? What are you using?" Like, and they say, "Oh yeah, this is the app that we have. Like, you can also use it." And even though like this small department, it's like 20 or 30 people, they paid for the app for 800 users. So they told
Oh.
us like it was super difficult to get approval. But now we have over 400 active users. Like, so they have 800 license, but over 400 active users like that use it almost daily. So
Mhm.
it's also a story of growth. So I think like, okay, how cool is it that they got actually funding? Because if they didn't get funding, like none of the users would have been using the app.
Mhm.
So these are two really cool stories.
Okay, so about the first example that you gave, if you look back, what according to you went right? Like, why do you see such a long association of that particular customer with your product? And even when they branched out into a new company, they again reached out for uh,
Mhm.
purchase. So, what efforts from your side actually worked in favor of such a long association with that particular customer?
Uh, so first and foremost, and what I am a strong believer in is the customer relationship and support. So even if the app or service is not great, but if the customer can communicate the problem and they get fixed, it gives much better relationship, customer relationship. And I know it myself. So for example, if there is a service or a product, right, that I use, but which failed, like we screw up, but I communicate this and it gets fixed, I think it is even better for me. I feel even better, even if like there was no screw up. So because they showed the effort, they acknowledged that there was the problem and they fixed it. So it brings like this kind of trust that okay, you can trust them. Like no one is perfect, but you can trust them. And the same with this customer. So like of course when you're starting and you're growing like crazy, there could be issues like on our side, or maybe some miscommunication or something like that. But every time that they communicated, we spent some time, even if they were like quite small, because we believe that okay, any company can grow, and they are
Mm.
the best example. So if you provide the best service to everyone, doesn't matter the size, you will be rewarded in the end. And from our experience, they are not the only one that had a significant growth. So you need to treat each customer at the same way and provide the best possible support. So, and this is really what people appreciate, because they know that, okay, we can trust them, even if something doesn't work right now, but they say that it will. They know
Mm.
that we are going to deliver on this. So this is very important because they can trust us.
I think this is a wonderful insight. Customer success or support is some function. I have seen some of the great products which actually sucked when it comes to the support. So it can't be overlooked when you are looking into your growing your product. So having a clear, a proactive, and very honest conversation with your customer sometimes helps, even if you don't take any immediate action to address this issue. But just having a heart-to-heart communication helps you to, bridge that good relationship with their customer. Uh, Ostap, we are seeing from even from Atlassian side and overall in general in the market, there is a lot of buzz about AI. So Atlassian has come up with Atlassian Intelligence into Atlassian's products in Jira, in Confluence. So how do you see this wave coming up? Have you already tried hands-on on some of the AI-enabled features in your products?
Mhm. Yeah, like the word AI like changed the world, I think, the last year. So of course, it we were impacted as well. So to answer your question, like so far we cannot introduce the AI into any of our apps, but of course this is something that came up even a few times during the previous year, and of course I think all the apps, all the products in the future will have some kind of AI. So will it be like in terms of support? Will it be in terms of, for example, even uh, smart search, for example, where you just type in natural language what you want to do, and the app guides you where you need to go, or just in terms of like please do this, and the app actually goes and does it instead of doing it by mouse. So I think this is the future, but it's also very important not to be like on this like not to be overhyped with this, because it's important that like to understand that even though AI is cool, you don't need to solve each and every problem with AI, because for example you can solve like a simple math equation like 2 plus 2 using AI, but is it the most efficient way? So I'm all
Right.
about efficiency. So when AI becomes like when using like large language models becomes more convenient and more efficient to solve some problems, then we need to use it. But if we see that, okay, this time has not come to solve our problems, maybe it's better to wait, because with time they will become smarter, they will become more optimized, and they will become cheaper. So why don't like big companies like Atlassian start doing this? And it's great that they already launched this. So I hope that it will be available for other apps to also utilize what Atlassian has already done, because would be great for the marketplace, because not all partners can implement AI at this point of time, right? So if we can utilize Atlassian resources, it would be amazing. But if not, I think like it all the matter of time when like medium to large vendors will implement AI into the app, because there is no running away from that.
Do you also see any ethical or security challenges in future while building AI powered features?
Of course, yes. So definitely, this is something that we discuss quite frequently, and we also have implemented policies, and like when ChatGPT became public, because like while you may not understand that while typing in ChatGPT or any other agent some data, you're also sharing it with the company. And of course, for example, if you're doing it with customer data, this is the worst, right? Because customer trusts you to
Right.
handle data responsibly. But okay, do you have the same level of trust to the other company which you do not have any like bilateral agreements with? So basically, this is super important. So I think in the future it will be more common to run like local LLMs, right? So, for example, where data does not leave the environment, for example, or either the environment of the customer or environment of the app. So, for example, if we already store some data, maybe we can process it at the same environment, so customer knows that okay, data does not leave the environment of the vendor, right? But if we are sending it to some third party, especially if we do not disclose this is already like a breach of trust. But even if we disclose this, like okay, not all customers will be checking this, and I think in general it's very bad practice to do it. So I would rather have it on site, where like customer could be sure that we are responsible for this.
Mm. Yeah, that's an interesting insight again. So AI, though it's a big wave that going on in the market, and everyone is now trying to be AI powered products there, but at the same time you should be sensible. Like I know you should be sensible enough to judge where its actually need is and only use it at those places. At the same time, also take care of those security challenges that might arise, especially when you are dealing with the client's data. So
Exactly.
towards the end, Ostap, I would like to ask you, if there are any budding product managers who are listening to this session, Would you like to recommend any special resources or mentors that you have followed, which have been helpful for you to be successful in product management?
Sure. So I can start with two books that had quite a big influence on me when I was already a product manager for a while, but they were like by far the most influential ones in recent years, I would say. So this is they're kind of connected. So it's Product-Led Growth
Mhm.
by Wes Bush, and also Product-Led Onboarding by Wes and Ramley John. So basically, they had like product-led growth, which is, I think, it's quite popular. But even like the second book, Product-Led Onboarding, had a much bigger impact on me because it's based on how you basically onboard the customer, so they do not churn. So because the biggest drain, I think, is to have customer start trial, even convert, but then like in 1 or 2 months they drop out because it couldn't figure out the value that they could get from the app. This is, I think, this is the worst for me, because for example, if you started the trial but you didn't see value, you didn't buy, okay, like it happens, like it's life, you cannot have 100% conversion. But if you
Right.
have customers that started paying, so they saw some value but they didn't see enough, so I think this is the worst. So this book teaches you how you can work with such customers, what approaches are good, and especially because they give a lot of examples on the SaaS apps, which I'm working on. So this is really good. And also, like when I started, I was using LinkedIn Learning. I think at that time it was called Linda or something like that. And there was like a product management course. I think it was by Cole Mercer. He is a senior product manager. So you can just go to LinkedIn Learning, and there is like a product management course. I think for any people that just start their journey, it's a good way to start because they are not super long. They are led by professionals, so they are not led by professors, right? But people that actually that work in the field and they know like ins and outs of the business. So it's a good place to start, and they have like one course is like 1 hour or something like that. So they have very short courses, and then you can add a certificate to your LinkedIn. So this is something to start with, but then you need to see, like, because product management is very big topic, right? So you need to see, okay, do I work on the B2C app, on B2B app? Like, do I need to learn about analytics or something like that? So you need to start with basics, but then it depends what you work on, and then see in this direction. And again, what are your weak spots, right? So if, for example, I was weak in in technical, basically I didn't have a technical background. I was learning a lot about like the code, how the database work, and so on. So pure technical, because you need this background anyway. Like even if you are not a technical product manager, you still need the basics in technical stuff.
Yeah, that's perfect. Even in my case, when I started off, I was quite weak into technical side, so I went to a couple of courses on APIs or database queries,
Yes.
SQL queries, and all those stuff. But yeah, that's a great advice to have. Even that book that you mentioned, product-led onboarding, and personally, would be interested reading into it. So thanks for the suggestion.
Yes.
So I think we are at the end of the session, and it has been a really insightful conversation on our side with Ostap. Thank you so much for such a wonderful conversation, and thanks for joining us. And I'm pretty sure we can again have you on this show for some more elaborated topics around product management for some other day.
Sure. Thank you, Sajid. Thanks for inviting me, and we can chat again later.
Great, great. So with that note, we are coming to the end of this session. So all the listeners, thank you so much for the patient listening. I hope you enjoyed this session. Do follow us on our LinkedIn, our YouTube, and also do check out Reliex, LinkedIn page and their marketplace listing for some wonderful product that they are building. So till then, we'll again meet you in the next episode with some similar one more wonderful guest. in the next episode. Till then, have a good day. Thank you so much for joining us. Goodbye.
Thanks. Bye.